In this episode, Formula One Miami Grand Prix, WEC 6 hours of Spa Francorchamps, and IMSA Mid-Ohio preview. Welcome to episode 66 of the We Are Auto Show. What's up, Derek?
Mr. Michael Rao. There's some racing news to chat about.
I reckon there is.
There was an F1 race that happened in our state.
Mm-hmm.
There was some IMSA foreshadowing coming up. There was a WEC event.
Yep.
You ready?
Yeah, hit me.
Let's kick it off with F1 in Miami,
Okay.
of all places. So the FIA, the governing body of F1, has been trying to organize this event for a long time, like 3 to 4 years from what I've heard.
Yeah.
There were like rumors that it was going to happen not this year but last year, and it never came together. They finally did it. They pulled it off. It was meh. Let's talk about why.
Okay.
So to start, this is a new track. They've never raced here before. It was around the Miami Dolphin Stadium, which is the Hard Rock Arena, I think is what it's called.
Hard Rock Stadium, I think.
Yeah, that might be it. It was like under some overpasses, some interstate overpasses. It was through the parking lot of the stadium. In order to do this, they had to put down new asphalt. The asphalt that they put down had a whole lot of I think it was lime rock in it, specific to the Carolina areas or something like that. They trucked it in. They wanted it to be a specific compound, and it had issues. In qualifying and in practice, it started to come apart, and they actually had to patch it overnight going into the race, which is not a good look.
Oh my God.
It was only at a certain corner that it was like starting to grain and gravel up, and the surface was being worn down.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. But a good news, they were able to patch the track, and there was not a ton of rain. And you know what happens in Florida in the afternoon. Generally, it rains.
Hard.
If you watch the race, you could see in the background there were some showers. There was some normal thunderstorm activity, but it was off in the distance enough that it wasn't an issue. And they didn't get a big downpour. During the race, during qualifying, during practice, they didn't get any bad weather. Good. It was just hot. And it's hot and humid. That's Florida. It's to be expected.
This time of year.
So the only weather complaints that there were was hot and humid. The drivers were, very hot in the cars. Whatever. They can deal with that. There was some other controversy, though. Did you hear about jewelry in F1?
I did.
Ooh, okay. Let me clue the viewers in real fast, and then I'll get your take on it. So the FIA started to, I think this race and last race, actually enforce a rule that's technically in the rule book and has been in there for 2 to 3 years. And it's saying that drivers cannot wear jewelry while driving. Jewelry meaning watches, necklaces, earrings, nose rings, anything like that, right?
No jewelry. Who wears a nose ring?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. This has been on the rule book for like 3 years. And the reasons that they want to have this in place is increased risks of like burns if you caught on fire. If somebody had to take your clothing off quickly for medical reasons, you would tear the shirt, something like that. If you were to be put into a medical machine in case of a crash, you don't want any metal for an MRI. And then you could just have a watch flying around to the cockpit, and it's not good, right? Very common sense stuff. I am honestly shocked that this has not been enforced for the past 20 years.
I got to admit, I agree with the rule.
The rule makes total sense. There's no problem there.
Like, if you get mangled and they're trying to tear your race suit off, the last thing they want to do is hook into a nipple ring and tear your nipple off.
I'm actually surprised that other sports, I know in Major League Baseball, you can wear some jewelry. I think at least around your neck you can. I'm surprised that that's even allowed. I could see somebody getting caught on something sliding into a base. In hockey, I think you can wear some jewelry.
You can wear a necklace.
I'm surprised that hasn't caused a problem. I'm really shocked that this isn't like more sports don't have this implemented.
I agree.
But the one person who has a problem with this is Lewis Hamilton. You can see this coming from a mile away. He wears, I think that he has 2 earrings that he wears.
Yeah.
And he has a nose piercing or something like that he wears.
Yeah.
And he is up in arms about this. He will not take off his jewelry.
Shut up and drive a goddamn race car.
Agreed. It's pretty bad.
I'm sorry that I sound like a grumpy old man here.
You do.
But just do your job.
I totally agree. Lewis has said he is willing to miss races and get fined for this.
Yes, and because he's willing to miss races and get fined, he's finishing consistently behind his teammate.
That's not the reason. But I do wonder, if Lewis missed a race for this, would Mercedes re-sign him?
I mean, he is Toto's golden boy.
He is, but where's he at in the points right now? Mind you, it's not really his fault. It's the team. It's the porpoising of the car. Their car has been trash compared to Ferrari and Red Bull this season. True. But if your driver was saying, I'm willing to not race to stand up to the FIA for enforcing a rule that should totally be there, yeah, that's not a good look.
If I'm Toto, I'd say, get out of here.
Mine. But we're not Toto, so our opinion doesn't really matter.
You know what Hamilton did to protest this rule, right?
What?
He showed up to the press conference wearing 3 watches, not 1, 3, 2 on one wrist, 1 on the other wrist, 5 necklaces, 1,000, just every piece of jewelry he could put on his body. He put on. Shut up and do your job. I'm sorry. Just do your job, Lewis. It's a rule that should be there. Because if you get into a fiery wreck, where did we see? And it was Roman Grosjean?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get into a Grosjean-style wreck, your nose ring is going to probably burn your nose clean off your face.
Yeah. It's clear safety. There's no debate about that. It's shocking that this has not been enforced, but it's been in the rule book for 3 years, and that's Lewis's whole argument here. Why was it not enforced from the start? I don't know. It's somewhat of a valid argument, but I'm glad that it is being enforced.
It needs to be enforced.
There was one other thing that is some drama that was happening. Did you happen to see, I believe that it was Vettel, walking down the pit lane with, underwear over his fire suit?
No, I did not see that. What?
There's a photo somewhere. I don't have it up right now of Vettel walking down the pit lane with underwear over his fire suit, and he is protesting to the FIA that you're not allowed to wear your own underwear while you race.
That's funny as hell.
And the whole argument from the FIA is it has to be fireproof underwear. And I guess he didn't want to wear it. So
maybe he just wanted to go commando.
It's pretty entertaining. Okay, that's the drama out of the way with. Let's talk about the actual race.
Okay.
Because the race was, like I said, meh. It was not great, but not terrible. As far as the race went, qualifying was pretty entertaining. It came down to Leclerc and Verstappen and Sainz kind of battling it out for the top spot. And it turns out that the Ferrari did have the 1-lap pace. Leclerc took pole, and then we put, I believe that it was Carlos Sainz and then Max Verstappen. Although I could have that the wrong way around. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was Verstappen, then Sainz. Regardless, it was Ferrari, Red Bull, Red Bull. Okay. Going into the first corner, as the race started, we had, I believe, that it was Carlos Sainz. I think that it was he passed Leclerc. And that ended up setting up a situation where Leclerc was able to overtake, Verstappen was able to overtake Leclerc on lap 9, which ended up giving him the lead of the race. After that, there wasn't really anything particularly interesting that happened. There was a Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly wreck that happened at the around the end of the race that did bring out a virtual safety car and was able to bring Mercedes up to a situation where we had 2 Mercedes battling it out for 5th and 6th, which is not great for Mercedes, but it's better than what they've been in for the rest of the season.
True.
Interestingly, Lewis Hamilton did lose that Mercedes battle, and that puts George Russell up to 5th for the race, which continues to enlarge the lead for Russell in the championship over Lewis Hamilton. So if I were Lewis Hamilton, I'd shut up and race a car because it doesn't look good in the points for him right now.
Shut up and race your car. That's just do your job, brother.
But as far as the race went, there were 3 DRS zones. There was some passing, but you kind of really had to get a run on somebody through DRS to get any good passing. There was one very slow set of corners, which I think was like 15, 16. And it was purposefully slow because they had to do an elevation change going under an overpass in like some entrance road. So they couldn't allow the cars to go fast enough because it was a big enough bump that the cars would get airborne.
Oh.
And it was so slow that the cars were like awkwardly slow through a series of left-right corners. Yeah, it was down to like 40 miles an hour. And that's worse than pit road speed. And those cars just look wrong on a racetrack going that slow.
Yeah.
It's weird. Overall, the event was considered a success from the FIA standpoint, right? Yeah. Safety was pretty solid. There was like debatably one area where they could have had safer barriers that were in place that weren't actually there. And they'll probably change that for next year. There were some people saying on the internet that they saw a tractor that was going out to retrieve a vehicle, and it was during a caution to go, I think, get Lando Norris's car after he got into an incident. But the situation that it was going out on track, cars were still coming around at speed to catch the pace car, and that's unsafe. That's how the last F1 driver that passed away due to an incident died, was through a big tractor like that in an incident. So not ideal, but wasn't terrible because they're still under a safety car situation.
Yeah.
So the drivers shouldn't be going full speed. They should be just trying to catch the safety car while safely getting around track vehicles.
Agree.
It was an okay race.
Could be better.
Yeah, could be better. Results coming out of it does put Verstappen in, I believe that he's catching up to Leclerc in the standings, which is good. Verstappen did win. Leclerc came second. Carlos Sainz came third. And it was Red Bull, Ferrari, Ferrari, Red Bull. Then Mercedes, Mercedes. That was the finishing order. Another notable, Lando Norris didn't finish. Pierre Gasly didn't finish. And yeah, it was an okay race.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the 2022 driver standings for F1. Leclerc, with his Ferrari, still in the lead. He's 104 points, followed by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull with 85 points. In
that
third
gap's coming down.
Is the Sergio Perez in the Red Bull with 66 points. Then we got George Russell, then Carlos Sainz, then finally Lewis Hamilton, which has only 1 point above Lando Norris in a McLaren.
And Lando did not finish this race.
Correct.
Yeah, which is sad for him. I did not like to see that, but it is what it is.
Agree.
Yeah. So, interesting kind of meh race.
Fair.
Glad we didn't spend $5,000 to go watch it, honestly.
Agree.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the WEC, the WEC, the Le Mans cars.
Yes, please.
They had a 6-hour event. It was at Spa, the last racing news segment that we did. We talked about how Spa had their track revamp. They repaved certain sections of it. They improved the drainage for removing water from the track. That came into play.
Oh, yeah.
This was a started in dry, went to wet, finished in dry race, which I think are very entertaining to watch.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I think it is too.
As a race fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see him get started in the dry, go full out to that first corner. You want to see them get strategic in the wet, see who's going to take the wet line, the dry line, who's going to go to wet tires first. And then you want to see him go full bore to the finish in the dry again.
Right.
As a race fan, that's perfect.
And it is amazing to watch cars like that in the wet.
Yeah.
They're awesome. So this race was on the repaved circuit. The paving of the circuit itself was not a problem. The pavement held up well. The new Eau Rouge and Radeon, which they resurfaced, but before they resurfaced it, they laser scanned it, kind of with the tech that iRacing uses to do their track scans, and they are like dead on, like millimeter precision. And they repaved it exactly with that millimeter precision, and it looked spot on. Perfect. The cars looked exactly the same going through the corners.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Because that's the whole point of Spa. Eau Rouge and Radeon.
Yes.
That's it.
So I believe that the Glickenhaus took pole in qualifying, which is cool to see. But then once we got to race pace and overall pit stops and strategies, they did tend to fall down the order, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Sad to see. I feel like that's what happens to Glickenhaus a lot. I feel like they start, or they at least qualify really good, and then race day comes around, and it's high hopes. We got this, boys. Let's go. And then they just drop back.
That's exactly what happened in F1 to Leclerc in the Miami Grand Prix, where they qualified pole. They had the one lap pace, but it didn't really matter because the race pace is what matters.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the race pace. So, yeah. That's what happened to the Glickenhaus.
Yeah.
Toyota did look pretty good in this race. So did Alpine. Toyota did have one car in the middle of the rain, right when they got back going after a red flag because of some rain. It did poop. It just said, I'm done. I think that there was an electrical issue with the rain itself, and it shorted things out, and the car just died.
So some electrical components that weren't supposed to get wet got wet. Sounds almost like a C5 Z06.
At Sebring.
Yeah. During the 12 hour.
Yikes. Yeah. This race in general, awesome to watch. Loved watching the cars go from dry to wet to dry to watch them work the tire strategy. While it was wet, there were a lot of cars going off track, a lot of cars getting stuck in gravel. So it was a little bit of rain, get stuck in gravel. The safety car comes out, which means the cars are not pushing the water off the track. So when they get going back green, there are rivers running across the track, and you put someone else inevitably in the gravel, and you continue the cycle, right?
Yeah. You get a couple of laps, and then someone bins it. And then you get a couple of laps, and then someone bins it again.
Mm-hmm. Cautions breed cautions is what they say. Mm-hmm. But overall, the remaining Toyota, did take the win. They took the win by like a good margin. I think the gap was like 30 seconds or something like that. Then the Alpine came in second, and at the Glickenhaus was like way down the order, and so was the other Toyota that didn't finish.
Wasn't there at one point that an LMP2 was leading the entire race?
When it was really wet, very, very wet, the LMP2s had significantly more pace.
Why do you think that is?
I would assume refinement over the years. The LMP2s have had more wet. Enough. Yeah, they've had more wet driving, and it seems like they're suited better for the wet. I don't know if it's the tires. I don't know if it's the teams just not having enough experience in the new cars. But it was weird to see overall. It was like 3 LMP2s overall were winning over the next. What's the class name?
Hypercar.
Hypercar. Yeah, and it was just really odd to see because it was LMP, then a hypercar on the leaderboard, and it was the Toyota, and then it was the Alpine, and I'm like, huh? It's not like they all crashed. It's just they're underpaced, and they were underpaced by 5 seconds a lap.
That's big.
It's big. I mean, Spa's a big circuit, but
that's a big gap.
Yeah, you're pulling away. And they probably got up to 2 minutes or something. They never lapped them, but they got up to like 2 minutes, and it's only like a 3 or 4 minute lap time at Spa.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was a good race. Good race to watch.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
Let me quickly just talk about the winners of the GT classes here. So we've got the LM GTE Pro. That sub race itself, that class, was won by Alessandro Pierguidi and James Colato in a Ferrari. In second, there was my beloved Porsche RSR, the factory team, by Michael Christensen and Kevin Estra. And then the LMGTE AM was taken with the win by maybe our favorite GT AM team, Dempsey Proton Racing.
Oh, yeah.
With that beautiful car, that gray and black and blue checker.
Yeah.
Love that car. That Porsche took the win in LMGT AM, followed by Ben Keating, Enrique Chavez, and Marco Sorensen in the Aston. I believe that is the Seaman car as well. One quick note, one of our beloved IMSA drivers got to race in LMGT AM in this race as well. And this was in the car that had to borrow a door at Sebring. You remember the Mentos Porsche?
Yeah.
Well, that car was able to have a local legend drive in the 6 Hours of Spa. Jan Halen of Wright Motorsports, that races that blue Porsche GT3R in IMSA, he got a seat at the 6 Hours of Spa. He's originally from Belgium. Pretty cool for him to go back and race at the 6 Hours of Spa in a Porsche.
Yeah, that is really cool.
They didn't do so well.
That's okay.
But those are the GT cars that we should chat about.
I'm sure he thoroughly enjoyed driving a Porsche around there in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was it. Let's move on to some other WEC news.
Okay.
So there was some news that came out right here. Let me pull it up real fast. There we go. That the WEC is targeting a gradual return to an 8-race calendar.
Good.
Now, do you know how many races they're currently doing?
I believe 6.
I think it is 6 as well. I'll double check.
I believe
real
it's
fast.
a 6-race calendar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races.
Yes.
Yep.
5,
We can count to 6 here. Yes.
Yeah. So they're saying they want to go back to 8 races, which I would assume that they were at 8. I know that it seems like they're going to be ditching what was rumored to be a race that was going to happen at Indianapolis, where there were talks with Mr. Roger Penske to run at Indy. But it sounds like that's not going to happen.
You know what? Good.
Why do you say that?
I don't think Indy's the best place for a WEC race.
I agree.
I would much rather watch these cars at Laguna Seca.
I think that there are significantly many more tracks that I can think of.
I agree, but of the big ones here in the U.S., we've already got Sebring. Check. We saw that 1,000 miles of Sebring.
Right.
I would say Laguna Seca would be a great place for a WEC race to see the Glickenhaus race there. I think, yeah. I mean, Indy's great, but the road course is just pretty much all 90-degree turns. They don't have like these interesting double apexing, sweeping lefts and right. It's just pretty much 90-degrry left, 90-degree right, banking.
I would rather see them at Coda, VIR, Watkins Glen, Barber. Do I have to keep naming racetracks that are good in the U.S.? Like, there's a ton. There's a ton.
Road America.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Petit
Watkins Glen.
Petit. Just run them at the same time that the IMSA cars are going. Same weekend.
Or the Salem 6 Hours of Glen.
Yeah.
Do it just like they do with Sebring. Do the FIA WEC race on the Saturday and then the IMSA race on the Sunday. Yes.
Works well. Same kind of cars, drivers, same fans. Works well. But sounds like they're not going to add another U.S. event, which I think is a good idea. I wonder where the other events will be.
I think they will eventually bring back, what is it, Fuji?
Yeah.
Whatever the Japanese one is. I don't remember.
No,
they already
have Fuji.
There was one, what was it? Suzuka.
Yeah.
I think it was Suzuka. I think it'd be cool if they did a Bathurst at Mount Panorama. That'd be freaking phenomenal.
They do have an endurance race at Bathurst, but it's a GT3 event.
Yeah.
And it's 12 hours.
12 hours.
It's 12
The
hours.
Bathurst 12 hours, where they start in the night.
In
no,
the AM.
they start in the They start
In the
midday and they end in the night.
No. They start in the dark in the morning.
Am I backwards?
And end in the day. Yeah.
I'm backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird time.
But it's cool.
Yeah. Imagine starting the 12 hours of Sebring at 6 a.m. in the dark. It's neat.
It's cool.
And then you go through the morning into the daytime and finish it.
If you're a racing fan, imagine
mid-afternoon.
being drunk at 6:30 in the morning.
You just camp. Yeah.
Of course.
You just camp.
You just don't stop drinking from the night before.
Right. So the WEC schedule as it is right now is the Sebring, which they've already done, Spa, which they've already done, Le Mans, which is about a month away. It's coming up.
Woo. Let's go.
Monza, and then Fuji, and then Bahrain.
Okay.
So I don't know. I could see them going to Silverstone in the UK. That'd be kind of neat. Kind of a boring circuit, but you could go to the UK.
I would say, if I'm thinking of just cool places for them to race, I'd want to see them at Mount Panorama Bathurst, so I'd want to see them race there. And then I'd want to see if I could just script it anywhere.
The Nürburgring.
Well, that'd be great, but that's not going to happen, right?
That's
Maybe
like F1 going there.
Hungaroring?
That'd be okay. Yeah.
Be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or I like Silverstone.
I do too, but I think that there are other hillier tracks. Like I think Alton Park is over there in the UK, which is a little more hilly and would be more interesting to watch, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't know.
If you're watching or listening, write to us, drop a comment, or shoot us over on social. If you could script it, had your dream, where would you want the FIA WEC to race? So drop it in the comments on YouTube or send us a message on social if you're listening on audio only. Love to go over that with you.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up the WEC. There is some upcoming racing coming up next weekend. IMSA is actually going to be at Mid-Ohio. And I actually love this track for these cars.
I love Mid-Ohio as well.
I think it's just about the perfect amount of, there are long straightaways to get high speed, but there is a twisty, hilly, very technical section for a lot of the track that's very difficult, but very fun when you nail how flowy it is.
Mid-Ohio is another one of those tracks where if you're a real racing fan, you love to watch it.
Yes.
It's so good to watch.
Because you're not just straight lining straight into a hard braking zone, turning at 90 degrees. You're finessing.
Say, Indianapolis.
Right. You're finessing up and down hills through sweeping, bendy stuff. And with IMSA, you're finessing that while you're watching up forward and backward and getting past from the front and the back, which is what we love.
Yep.
Other notables about this upcoming weekend, we have the MX5 Cup, which will also be there supporting IMSA. We have the Prototype Challenge, which will also be there supporting IMSA. And we have, the Prototype Challenge, this is their second race of the season. The last time that they ran was the Roar before the Rolex 24.
Yeah.
In January.
I remember when you and I went to the Roar a couple of years ago, we saw that Prototype Challenge race in the rain.
Yep.
That was good to watch.
They're feisty little race cars.
That's why I like it.
Yeah. And up-and-coming drivers are racing them. And then Michelin Pilot Challenge will also be there, which is like GT4s and TCR cars. Yep. So cool racing coming up at Mid-Ohio.
Definitely excited for it.
Yep. So I think that's all the racing news. You got anything?
That's all I got.
I think that's it, buddy.
All right, so that's going to wrap us up for episode 66 now. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you've subscribed. And if you can, leave us a thumbs up and a comment on the video. Would love to go back and forth with you there. If you're listening on audio only, please do leave us a 5-star rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure you follow us on social. Facebook's We Are Auto, Instagram is We Are Auto _, YouTube is We Are Auto, and our website is weareauto.io, which we will be putting some pretty cool archived races on there. Also, if you've got any racing news, if you want us to chat and cover about and with you, I suppose, send it to us over our socials. Love to connect with you there. So again, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.